With the 2022 World Cup just completed, I figure now is a good time to have a quick look back at the tournament, sharing my general thoughts and whatnot. This is not scripted or anything, like I usually do my videos. I'm just gonna say whatever comes to mind. I'll simply start with Group A and work my way through the tournament. I remember the first match. I was actually really worried initially when that Valencia's first goal was disallowed because I thought it was dubious, and maybe we would see a replay of South Korea's controversial run to the semifinals in 2002. But it turns out that it was actually correctly disallowed. But yeah, Ecuador still won it comfortably 2-0. And then the Netherlands also got a relatively comfortable win against Senegal. Well, ultimately the goals were quite late, to be fair, and one of the goals were even very late. But still a relatively comfortable win, I would say. Senegal's win over Qatar was even more comfortable, though. I mean, it's Qatar did get a goal back, but Senegal had another gear, which they showed and just won. And the Netherlands against Ecuador, I'm really happy that I predicted that scoreline. So this is one of those sort of a bit of a spicy predictions that I got exactly right, so I'm pretty happy with that. Next, Ecuador against Senegal. I predicted Senegal to win 1-0, but they won 2-1 instead, so it's pretty solid predictions, I would say. Yeah, the win was crucial for Senegal to reach the knockout stage, so congratulations to them. Especially good for them since they so narrowly missed out in 2018. The Netherlands only beat Qatar 2-0, but they were already sure to advance. And I mean, 2-0 is enough to win the group, so they did just, I mean, it was a good opportunity for them to rest their players, I guess. Now on to Group B, England against Iran. This was the second match of the World Cup, if I recall correctly, and it was just shocking. I predicted a bit of an upset, a draw, but England just were emphatic, 6-2, and it really should have been 7-2 because England should have had a penalty. But yeah, just an emphatic display that made me view England as a potential contender. Then the United States against Wales. I mean, an average match, I guess you could say. Wales were pretty fortunate to get that penalty, which was correctly awarded, but the United States were overall better, even though the Wales came back in the second half. But yeah, Bale converted it emphatically, scoring Wales' first World Cup goal since 1958, so congratulations for that. And then Wales-Iran. I predicted a 1-0 win for Iran, and I thought I got it, but in the 11th minute of added time, they made it 2-0, but oh well. A pretty solid predictions regardless, and a good win for Iran. Then England against the US. This was one of few games I wasn't able to watch. I mean, I was basically multitasking. I had it going on in the background, so I couldn't 100% focus on it. But thankfully, I didn't miss any goals. But from what I've understood, I mean, the United States really had the upper hand for a lot of the time, and arguably should have won. But 0-0 was the final scoreline. But England found redemption for the final round, a 3-0 win against Wales. I mean, one of the goals was a memorable Rashford free kick, so a good win in the British derby. And then in the controversial derby, if you could say that. I mean, it's not like they're neighboring countries, but Iran and the US certainly have a history, to put it mildly. The United States won that, but Iran offered a good showing. Group C started off with, the upset of the tournament, definitely Saudi Arabia, even though there were a fair bit of upsets. Saudi Arabia beating Argentina. Just incredible. I did not see it happening at all. I mean, no one did. And then Mexico and Poland finished goalless. And then Poland and Argentina won routine wins against Saudi Arabia and Mexico, respectively. Chesney got a save against Saudi Arabia, which is really impressive. And he also saved against Argentina, even though they ultimately lost that match. But it was still enough to advance to the knockout stage by the skin of their teeth, as Mexico defeated Saudi Arabia. Group D. I mean, this is the most shocking group. Well, okay, no, never mind. But a very shocking group, because Denmark flopped majorly. I had them as more than a dark horse, a contender, but they just flopped miserably. Bottom of the group. I don't know why. Maybe there was just too much talk of the armbands and protesting, and I mean, I don't know. Maybe there just wasn't the necessary unity in the squad. But yeah, France won the group relatively comfortably, and Tunisia, despite drawing with Denmark and winning against France, didn't advance, which is just incredible. But all respect to Australia. I thought they were finished after that loss against France, but they won their other matches 1-0, which I have a lot of respect for. 1-0 wins, the Italian and Swedish approach. So that was just a crazy a monumental achievement. Barely anyone saw it coming. I didn't see it. I saw literally no one predict Australia to advance. Maybe one person, but I thought he was trolling, so I wouldn't take it too seriously. All right, Group E, another group which saw upsets, which, well, almost every group saw that at this World Cup. Japan beating Germany, and they with 2 goals in the second half, coming back from a deficit. This was followed by a 7-0 win against Costa Rica by Spain, which was really amazing. And then Costa Rica got a unexpected win against Japan, which with their only shot. I think it was basically their only shot in the entire match, but it found the back of the net. So that really opened up the group and made me and a lot of people feel like Japan were just finished. But as it turns out, they were wrong. Well, I was wrong as well, because they beat Spain after Spain drew against Germany. And then in a thrilling affair with Costa Rica, well, even though Germany won, it was not enough to advance. And they were eliminated in the group stage for the 2nd consecutive World Cup, which is just unbelievable. But a monumental achievement by Japan, of course. Yeah, Group F, Morocco and Croatia drawing 0-0 were really underwhelming. I predicted that this was going to be a goal-heavy affair, and I saw some other people think that too, but nope, 0-0. I mean, there were talks about the matches that were played in the middle of the day, the opening matches, that it was so warm, so the teams just wanted to relax and just take it easy and not take too many risks. And also because it was the first round, so neither team needed a win. Then Belgium defeated Canada, arguably undeservedly. Well, Canada should have at least had 3 penalties. Well, maybe, I think 2 in addition to the one they were awarded, which this is just not my opinion, by the way. The former FIFA referee Jonas Eriksson also agrees with this. So Canada, it's not unfair to say that Canada were robbed against Belgium. But then again, it's not Belgium's fault that the referee does not live up to the expected standards. But yeah, arguably justice was served because Morocco then defeated Belgium. And Belgium's chances were pretty bleak given how they had played. And Croatia, meanwhile, got a really impressive win against Canada, who just... this is why World Cup routine matters so much, because... you could see that Canada were a bit naive, even though they played entertaining, but it wasn't as solid as is required, which is obviously shown by the scoreline. And then Croatia rounded off their group stage with another 0-0 draw, but it was enough to advance to the group stage. Well, from the group stage. And Morocco's win against the Canadians made sure they were victorious, which is pretty good to see, because... I've said it in a previous video, Morocco were one of the unluckiest team at the 2018 World Cup, so it's good to see them do well now. Group G, Switzerland opened up with a routine win against Cameroon, same with Brazil against Serbia, but then Serbia and Cameroon just featured in a great match. I predicted Serbia would win that 4-1, and when it was 3-1 in the 53rd minute, I was very optimistic, but Cameroon just came back really impressively and got a well-deserved draw. And this was followed by quite an underwhelming match. Brazil 1-0 against Switzerland, but a win is a win for Brazil, and at least it wasn't a goalless draw. Yeah, next, Serbia featured in yet another entertaining match, but it was a loss again, this time against Switzerland, just like at the 2018 World Cup. So, I mean, a bit of a boogie team for Serbia, it seems. And it's worth noting that Serbia finished last in this group, despite scoring the most goals. So they just need to sort out their defense, it seems. And then, I mean, the big shock came next when Cameroon beat Brazil. That was just crazy. A lot of upsets on the last match day at this World Cup. as we'll also see in the next group, Group H. Yeah, where South Korea beat Portugal to sensationally advance with a goal in added time to advance behind Portugal. Now on to the knockout stage, which started off with the Netherlands defeating the United States 3-1. Relatively comfortable win. Argentina then played against Australia, and they didn't win as comfortably as they should have. It felt comfortable until Australia got that own goal back in the second half. But Argentina saw the game out and ultimately won, which is of course what matters. Then Japan and Croatia, yet another penalty shootout for the Croatians, which they won. They are just, they're extremely good at penalties, simply. So it was ultimately a deserved win. Speaking of deserved wins, Brazil were just on fire against South Korea. I thought this was an indication that Brazil would just go on and win the whole thing, but more on that later. Similarly, England got a really good win against Senegal. They made Senegal look pretty bad, which is just an indication of how good England was. France got a pretty comfortable win against Poland, who Poland scored a late consolation goal through a Lewandowski penalty, so good. I'm happy for him that he got his a knockout stage goal at the World Cup. And then to the big upset of the round of 16, Morocco beating Spain 3-0 on penalties. Spain are just so frustrating to watch. It always feels like they have another gear to shift into, but they just don't do it. Luis Enrique just doesn't want to do it. It's like he wants the match to go to penalties, even though Spain are not good at penalties, which just does not make a lot of sense to me, which is especially frustrating given how good Spain was against Costa Rica in the opening match, but it all just came crumbling down here. But Morocco got a historic win, so congratulations to them. Speaking of historic wins, Portugal beating Switzerland 6-1. Switzerland are not bad. That was just a staggering result for me, which in my opinion made Portugal announce themselves as a real contender for the World Cup. But again, more on that later. Yeah, quarterfinals, Netherlands against Argentina. This match was just insane. I'm not gonna speak of the referee's performance. That's a story for another day. But the Netherlands' last second equalizer. Was it in the 11th minute of added time? I could not believe my eyes. The game felt like it was completely over after 2-0. But from out of nowhere, the Netherlands got back into the game. But Argentina were victorious on penalties. Next, Croatia, Brazil. Yeah, this was... Brazil made it 1-0 after extra time. Neymar did with a good goal. Well, a great goal, I'm even willing to say. But it wasn't enough. I did not believe Croatia had it in them, but they equalized and won the shootout. Next, England against France. I saw a lot of Englishmen on Twitter being very optimistic, borderline cocky, that, oh my god, if we win this, we'll basically win the World Cup. It's basically what they were saying, or at least that they should be doing it. But whenever England fans become confident, England tends to do poorly. So France won. Well, maybe that's a bit dumbing it down a bit too much, but you get the idea. France won, and Kane missed a penalty. There's no denying that, but France's win was still ultimately deserved. As was Morocco's win against Portugal, the first African team to ever reach the World Cup semi-final. Completely historic. Congratulations to Morocco. In 2018, Croatia defeated Argentina 3-0 in the group stage. This time it was Argentina's turn. Messi's penalty and Alvarez's brace sent them to a World Cup final for the first time since 2014. And France won 2-0 against Morocco, sending them to their second consecutive World Cup final, which is of course a really impressive feat. And Croatia won consecutive medals by securing bronze against Morocco in the third place playoff. This is the greatest World Cup final of all time. The greatest. There's nothing even comes close in my opinion, and I am aware of some of the historically great World Cup finals. Argentina obtained the lead through a soft penalty, to say the least, arguably incorrect, but Messi converted it, and Di Maria added a second, in the 36th minute, and the game seemed over, like so many at this World Cup. But in the 80th minute, it was France's and Mbappe's turn to have a penalty, which was converted by him. And just a minute later, from out of nowhere, he scored again, and it was 2-2 just like that. And then in the 108th minute, Messi made it 3-2 with one of the uglier goals of the tournament, but still a goal in the World Cup final, so that automatically makes it beautiful, I guess. At least if you're Argentinian. But this World Cup had yet another twist, as Mbappe was awarded a penalty in the 180th minute for handball, which again was converted. And he did also convert in the penalty shootout, which is just incredible. I think he's not even 24 yet, and he could still handle that unparalleled amount of pressure. But Argentina did ultimately win on penalties, and their third World Cup title, and Messi's first. Thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.